All right, we're back for another episode. This is Against the Grain Real Estate TV. I'm your host, and this segment is called The Daily Grain. On The Daily Grain, we discuss a shared housing program that I run myself out of my real estate investment property. I use this shared housing program to will my revenue out of my investment properties instead of waiting for it, renting my properties out the traditional way, letting tenants tear up my property, Section 8 my properties out so they're tore down, and I got to turn around and invest more capital in bringing the properties back to where they need to be in order for them to be rent ready. So what I want to do today, this is episode 3, this is the third episode. So what I want to do today is I'm taking a topic that I got, or really it was a question that I got from Instagram. So I got a guy who hit me and he said, "Hey, Rich, I hear you talking about different properties, this property, that property that you have that you run this program out of, but what if you have no properties? How would you go about getting a property? How can I do what you do without having a property?" And so this segment is called Using Subleasing to Get in the Game. Okay, so that's what I did. So what I did was I found a motivated renter who was tired of their property getting tore up, right? And I knew that I was able to establish this program, which I'm going to teach guys if they follow me on Instagram, they follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, follow me on YouTube. I'm going to teach you through this vlog how to start your own shared housing program, how to be a shared housing provider. Now, once you establish yourself as a shared housing provider, you can use that program in anything that has 4 walls and a roof, as long as it's residential. So I found a motivated renter. I found a motivated owner. So now, I didn't own a property in the beginning. So what I did was I found a motivated renter who was about to put his property back or invest money back to bring his property back after he had some Section 8 tenants in there. He tore the property up. And I approached it. So what I did was I scoured around. I looked at different ads that people were using to advertise their property for rent. And what I did was I was like, hey, I'm a shared housing provider. What I want to do is, how about this? How about I rent your property out from you, which does what? Gives you access to your property all the time. Because when you rent your property to a regular traditional single family or whatnot, or someone on Section 8, you don't have access to the property without a 72-hour notice that you're going to come into the property. So with this, you still have access to the property because the social workers, service coordinators, placement agents will need to have access to the property, so they can come in and work with their clients and implement those service hours that they're being paid by their company to implement to help these people live independent lives. So now, so you know you have access to your property. Number one, that means you can police your property. Number two, I'm going to be managing the property, so I'm going to make sure that the property is well kept, the grass is cut, no one's tearing anything up, everything's taken care of, and the money is going to be guaranteed because these people have guaranteed income. So that's what I did. So I made sure to look very hard on Craigslist. I looked on different property sites where people were advertising their property for rent. And what I did was I approached the owner of a property who was already renting his property out. And what I did was like, look, you already rent your property out. You're getting $1,200 a month, right? But your property is getting tore up. So let's do this. How about I pay you $1,400 a month, right? And I run a shared housing program out your property, and I make sure you have access to your property whenever you call me and say, hey, I want to come through. Can I come through and check out my property, right? And I'm managing the day-to-day operations of my shared housing program of the property. I'm going to make sure the property is in good working order because I know a lot of eyes, a lot of bodies, a lot of administrators are going to be coming through this property to work with their clients, okay? And I finally found the right guy who said yes. So I was able to sublease. I was able to lease from him and then sublease the rooms individually to these organizations' clients in order for me to make money. So he made money, I made money, and the individuals got a safe, affordable living environment when everyone in there was paying $800 a room. So $800 a room as opposed to $1,200 for rent. Now, necessarily, he wasn't going to see all the money that I was making. So what I knew was I was going to pay him a portion. So yeah, I'll pay you $200 over what you usually would get for rent. But I knew to run my program will cost me $5. So if I'm making $800 per room, we're at $3,200. You minus $1,200, $1,400. Let's say I'm roughly at $1,500-$1,600. Cost me $500 to run my program, to handle stuff and pay the electricity bills and do things like that. I'm making $1,000 out of the program. This is net. I'm netting $1,000 in my pocket. So I wanted to touch on that and let people know that you don't have to have a house right away. You can get creative in order to get into this type of business. So the thing is I did have a property, number one. Number two, I had a program. So number three, I had a program before I had a property. So I established a program, advertised the program to the different individuals and organizations and service coordinators, let them know that I'm going to open up coming soon, property coming soon. While I was doing that, I was building relationships and then trying to find my owner who was going to lease me the property, and then I was going to sublease it to different individuals who I know that I can control the environment. And that's how I started, and that's how I got into this business. So I'm able to generate or net now between $1,000 and $1,500 per property. For properties, you do the math. That's an extra $4 or $5 grand a month, you know, and that's some serious money. That's some money. That's serious money. $4 to $5 grand a month. A lot of people do not make that. So you take that and you help that supplement whatever you're doing. You actually get better at doing this, and you set the standard. And once you get going in the beginning, you'll be walking. But once you really get going and you learn this business, you'll be running. So I just wanted to address that as a topic and talk to some individuals who are asking me that question. I don't have a property. How do I get started? I'm just trying to get out the starting blocks. So that's how you got the starting blocks. You had to get creative. I had to get creative because I didn't always have the capital to do it, right? I had to call in favors, right? I had to make sure that the program was known. I brought awareness to the program, and then I took an idea and I sold it to someone who already had a property, because I knew they were motivated because they're tired of having to fix their property up because it was being tore up all the damn time by Section 8 renters or people who are just rough on the property. So he was able to sublease it to me. He's happy. I'm happy. The property's well taken care of. He sees everything. He has access to his property. You do not have access to your property in California if you rent it the traditional way. So have access, have eyes on your property, so those upgrades that you do make, you can see that they're being taken care of, right? Those repairs that you do make, you can see that they're being taken care of. So this is why being a shared housing provider can get you into the game, and that extra income that you have, you can save that money and use that money as a down payment to buy your next property. And that's where it's at. So once you buy your next property, you don't have to worry about dealing with a landlord or subleasing to people. That's your property. But this is going to get you into the game. So I'm glad you joined in and you actually are watching. So guys who are watching, thanks. This is episode 3. I'm just addressing a question I got via email and another question that was similar I got via Instagram. So this segment of the Daily Grain was called Using Subleasing to Get in the Game. All right, thanks. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Rich for Wealth. You can follow me at Twitter at Rich for Wealth.